stood at the back of the bus and watched 32 middle school students laugh and throw snacks at each other. She was tired. Her body hurt from the job she had finished last night, but she needed the money, so here she was again. She was 24 years old and an E-class hunter. In the world of hunters, E-class was almost nothing. It meant she was barely stronger than a normal person. Other hunters called her Coffee Girl because they said the only thing she was good for was bringing them coffee during real missions. But did not care what they said. She had one goal in life. Her younger brother was sick. He was 16 years old and had been in the hospital for 2 years. The treatments cost more money than could imagine, so she took every job she could find. Today's job was simple: guard a school field trip to the Rift Memorial Museum. Easy money. The year was 2147. 50 years ago, Earth had joined something called the Galactic Federation. Humans learned they were not alone in the universe. There were hundreds of alien species out there, but humanity was ranked D-class, which meant they were considered weak and unimportant. Most aliens looked at humans the way humans looked at ants. But Earth had one thing that made it special: the dimensional rifts. These rifts opened randomly and released monsters into the world. To fight these monsters, some humans awakened special powers. They became hunters. The hunter system was mysterious. Nobody knew where it came from, but it gave humans ranks from F to S, and the rare legend rank above all was E-class, the second lowest rank. She could barely fight the weakest monsters. That was why she worked escort missions for school trips instead of real combat missions. The bus stopped in front of the museum, stepped off first and looked around. The Rift Memorial Museum was built on the spot where a massive rift had opened 30 years ago. Thousands of people had died before S-class hunters closed it. Now it was a place for students to learn about history. A teacher named walked up too. She was a kind woman in her 40s with tired eyes. She taught history at middle school. "Thank you for coming, miss," teacher said. "I know escort missions are not very exciting." Gave a small bow. "It is my job. I will keep the students safe." Teacher smiled. "I am sure nothing will happen. This museum has the best security systems in the country." Nodded, but she checked her equipment anyway. She had a basic sword, a small shield, and 3 healing potions. Standard gear for an E-class hunter. Nothing special. The students poured out of the bus like a wave of noise and energy. Watched them carefully. Most of them were around 13 or 14 years old. They wore their school uniforms and carried backpacks full of snacks they were not supposed to have. One girl stood out from the rest. Her name tag said. She was the class president, and she was trying to organize the other students into a line. She had a serious face and a loud voice. "Everyone please behave," shouted. "We are representing our school. Do not embarrass us." A shy boy with glasses stood near the back of the group. His name was Park. He was holding a tablet and taking pictures of everything. He seemed more interested in the building's architecture than in talking to his classmates. Followed the group into the museum. The inside was impressive. There were displays showing the history of the rifts, models of famous monsters, and holograms of legendary battles. The students spread out to explore, their voices echoing off the high ceilings. For 2 hours everything was normal, walked through the exhibits and kept her eyes on the students. She answered questions when the children asked her about being a hunter. She told them the truth. She was not a strong hunter. She was just doing her job. Then at exactly 2:47 p.m., the world changed. Felt it before she saw it, a pressure in her chest, a ringing in her ears. The lights flickered, the ground shook, and then she heard the sound that every hunter feared, the tearing sound of reality breaking apart. A dimensional rift was opening, inside the museum. Blood went cold. She ran toward the main hall, pushing past screaming visitors. When she arrived, she saw something impossible. A massive crack in the air, glowing with purple light. And pouring out of that crack were creatures she had only seen in textbooks. Devourers. massive monsters with blade-like arms and armored bodies. They were S-class threats. A single devourer could kill 100 soldiers, and there were dozens of them flooding into the museum. The security alarm screamed. Metal barriers slammed down over the windows and doors. The museum was going into lockdown, but that meant everyone inside was trapped. Heard children screaming behind her. She turned and saw the 32 students huddled together near the emergency exit. Teacher and the 2 other chaperones were trying to calm them down. A devourer noticed the group. It turned its eyeless head toward the children and began to move. Did not think, she just moved. She ran forward and put herself between the monster and the students. Her sword felt small in her hand. Her heart was pounding so hard she could barely breathe. The devourer swung its blade arm at her. She raised her shield and blocked it. The impact sent her sliding backward. Her arm went numb, but she did not fall. "Run," she screamed at the teachers. "Get them to the basement, the archives, now." Teacher grabbed students and started pushing them toward the stairs. The other 2 chaperones helped, but the devourers were fast. 2 more turned toward the group. Attacked, she was not strong enough to kill them, she knew that, but she could slow them down. She slashed at their legs. She threw herself at them. She made herself a target so the children could escape. One of the chaperones, a young man, tried to help her fight. A devourer cut him down in a single strike, watched him fall and felt something break inside her. She kept fighting. By the time the last student reached the basement stairs, was bleeding from a dozen cuts. Her shield was cracked, her sword was chipped, and there were still more devourers coming through the rift. She looked back at the basement door, was the last one through. The girl's eyes met for just a moment. There was fear in those eyes, but also something else. Hope. Turned back to face the monsters. She could run. She could try to hide with the students and hope rescue came. But she knew the truth. If she hid, the devourers would find them. They would break through any barricade. There was only one way to keep those children alive. Someone had to hold the line. Planted her feet at the top of the basement stairs. She raised her broken shield and her chipped sword. Her hands were shaking. Her legs were weak, but her voice was steady. "You want them," she whispered to the monsters. "Come through me first." The first devourer charged, met it with everything she had. The longest night of her life had just begun. The basement archives were dark and cold. Emergency lights glowed red along the walls. 32 students sat huddled together on the floor, listening to the sounds of battle above them. Stood near the heavy metal door. She was the class president, and right now, that meant she had to be brave even though she was terrified. Through the small window in the door, she could see the stairway, and at the top of that stairway, she could see fighting. The hunter moved like someone who knew she was going to die but refused to stop. She blocked claws with her cracked shield. She stabbed at monsters with her chipped sword. Every time she fell, she got back up. Every time a devourer pushed her back, she pushed forward again. "Is she going to be okay?" a small voice asked. Turned. It was one of the younger students, a girl named. She was crying quietly. Wanted to cry too, but she forced herself to smile. "Miss is a hunter," said. "She will protect us." But in her heart was not sure. She had seen the other adults die. She had seen how big and fast the monsters were. How could one small woman stop them all? In the corner of the room, Park sat with his tablet on his lap. His hands were shaking, but he was recording everything. The sounds, the screams, the flashes of light from the stairway. He did not know why he was doing it. Maybe he thought someone should remember what happened here. Maybe he thought they were all going to die, and this would be the only proof they ever existed. Hours passed. The sounds of fighting never stopped. At some point, teacher organized the students. She made them sit in groups. She rationed the water bottles and snacks from their backpacks. She told them stories about brave heroes from history to keep them calm. But everyone kept looking at the door. Everyone kept listening. Around midnight, the sounds changed. There was a loud crash, then silence. Then the door at the top of the stairs flew open and something heavy tumbled down the steps. It was. She rolled to a stop at the bottom of the stairs, covered in blood. Her armor was torn. Her left arm hung at a wrong angle, but she was still breathing. She was still holding her sword. The student screamed. Teacher rushed forward. "Stay back," growled. Her voice was rough and weak. "Stay back, I am fine." She was not fine. Everyone could see that, but she pushed herself up anyway. She used the wall to climb to her feet. She turned and looked up the stairs where more devourers were coming. "Barricade," she said. "Help me." Moved first. She grabbed a heavy shelf and started dragging it. Other students followed. They piled everything they could find in front of the stairway door. Desks, chairs, filing cabinets, anything. Stood in front of the barricade and waited. When the first devourer tried to break through, she was there. She stabbed it through the gap in the barrier. It screamed and pulled back. This became the pattern. The monsters would attack, would fight them at the barricade. The students would repair the barrier when it broke, hour after hour, again and again. Kept recording. Through his tablet's camera he watched fight. He counted the monsters she killed. 7, 12, 19. He lost count after 30. At some point, her sword broke. She picked up a metal pipe from the wreckage and kept fighting. At some point, her shield shattered completely. She used a broken desk drawer as a shield instead. At some point, she ran out of healing potions. She wrapped her wounds with torn pieces of her own clothes and kept fighting. Brought her water during a quiet moment. Hands were so damaged she could barely hold the bottle, but she drank and nodded her thanks. "Why?" asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why do you keep fighting? You could hide with us." Looked at her with exhausted eyes. "If I hide, they break through. If they break through, you die." She paused. "I will not let you die." "But you are hurt. You are just one person." Smiled. It was a sad, tired smile. "I have a brother. He is sick. I work hard so I can pay for his medicine. Every day I wake up and think about him. He is the reason I keep going." She looked at the other students. "Tonight, you are all my brothers and sisters. I will keep going for you too." Felt tears running down her face. She wanted to say something, but before she could, another devourer slammed into the barricade, turned and raised her metal pipe. "Go back to the others," she said. "Stay safe." The night continued. Around 4 a.m., something worse came. The students heard a sound they had never heard before, a deep, rumbling screech that made their bones vibrate. The emergency lights flickered. The walls cracked. Through the gaps in the barricade, they saw it, a devourer queen. It was 3 times larger than the others. Its body was covered in thick armor. Its blade arms were as long as cars, and it was looking directly at the basement door. Stood alone in front of the barricade. Her pipe had broken hours ago. Now she held only a piece of sharp metal from a destroyed chair. Her body was barely standing. Blood dripped from wounds that would not stop bleeding. Zoomed in with his tablet camera, he recorded its face. He saw no fear there, only determination, only a promise that she would not break. The queen attacked. It smashed through the barricade like it was made of paper. Students screamed and ran to the back of the room. Teacher threw herself over the smallest children. Did not run. She charged at the queen. She was too slow, too weak. The queen's blade arm swept toward her and caught her across the chest, flew backward and crashed into the wall. Something cracked. She coughed blood. But she got up. The queen struck again, fell again, and again she got up. This happened 5 times. Each time the students thought she was dead. Each time she proved them wrong. On the 6th strike, caught the queen's blade with her bare hands. The metal cut into her palms. Blood poured down her arms, but she held on. "I made a promise," she whispered. Her voice was so quiet that only's tablet microphone picked it up. "I will not let them through." The queen pushed harder. Feet slid backward. She was losing. Everyone could see it. This was the end. But still, she did not let go. Watched from behind an overturned desk, she saw the small woman holding back a monster that should have killed her instantly. She saw the impossible happening right in front of her. "Please," whispered. She did not know who she was talking to. God, the universe, anyone who would listen, please help her. Somewhere something heard, and something answered. The golden light came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Felt it before she saw it, a warmth spreading through her broken body, a sound like 1,000 bells ringing in her mind, and then a voice she had never heard before, the voice of the system itself. In her mind, words appeared like fire burning into her thoughts. ANALYZING combat data, E-class hunter YOONNARI, solo defense against S-class breach, duration 11 HOURS 23 MINUTES, MONSTERS ELIMINATED 47, damage sustained critical, probability of survival 0%, continuing combat yes. The queen pushed harder. His arms screamed in pain, but she could not let go. Behind her were 32 children. Behind her was everything that mattered. ANALYZING anomaly. Willpower EXCEDS physical LIMITS by 847%. Spirit classification. Unbreakable. Initiating emergency evolution protocol. The golden light grew brighter. It poured out of skin like she was becoming a star. The queen screeched and pulled back, blinded by the light. The students covered their eyes. Even through closed eyelids they could see it. Floated off the ground. Her broken bones snapped back into place. Her wounds closed like they had never existed. Her torn muscles rebuilt themselves stronger than before. Power flooded into her body, more power than she had ever imagined. Around the world, every hunter received the same message. Every government agency, every alien embassy, every being connected to the system heard the same announcement. Legend rank awakening DETCTD. Hunter, YOONNARI. Nation, Republic of Korea. Title granted, the UNBREAKING Shield. Ability granted, Absolute Defense. This hunter has achieved the highest classification through pure WILL and sacrifice. In the Hunter Association headquarters in Seoul, alarms went off. Officials stared at their screens in disbelief. Legend rank awakenings were rare. Only 6 people on Earth had ever reached that level. And now, a 7th had appeared. An E-class hunter who should have been dead. In the Galactic Federation Embassy, alien diplomats received the alert and froze. A legend rank human. That was not supposed to be possible. Humans were D-class, weak, unimportant. How could a D-class species produce a legend? But none of that mattered too. She did not care about ranks or titles. She only cared about one thing. The children. The golden light faded, landed softly on her feet. She felt different, stronger, more alive than she had ever been. But she was still the same person inside. Still the woman who worked 3 jobs to pay for her brother's medicine. Still the woman who had promised to protect these students. The queen recovered from its blindness and roared. It charged with all its massive power. Raised her hand. A shield of pure golden energy appeared in front of her. The queen slammed into it and stopped dead. The impact created a shockwave that cracked the walls, but the shield did not move, not even a little. The queen attacked again and again. Each strike was stronger than the last. Each strike would have destroyed a building, but shield held. It was absolute, unbreakable, just like her. "My turn," said quietly. She stepped forward. Her hand passed through her own shield like it was not there. She grabbed the queen by its face. Golden light blazed around her fingers. The queen tried to pull away. It could not. For the first time in its existence, it felt something it had never felt before. Fear. Squeezed. The queen's armored head cracked, then shattered. The massive body went limp and collapsed to the ground, dead, killed instantly by a woman who had been E-class 12 hours ago. Did not stop. More devourers were coming down the stairs, dozens of them. She walked toward them like she was taking a stroll in the park. Her golden shield floated beside her, blocking every attack before it could reach her. She killed them one by one. Some she crushed with her bare hands. Some she destroyed with blasts of golden energy. Some simply ran away, their animal instincts telling them that this human was death itself. The students watched in silence. They had seen her fight as a weak, bleeding woman for 11 hours. Now they were seeing her fight as something else entirely, a legend, a hero. Kept recording. His hands were steady now. He knew he was witnessing history. He knew the world needed to see this. In 15 minutes, cleared the entire museum. Every devourer was dead. The rift was still open, but nothing else was coming through. Maybe the monsters on the other side were afraid now too. Walked back to the basement. Her golden light had faded, but she still glowed softly like the moon. She stopped in front of the students and looked at them. 32 children, all alive, all safe. "Is everyone okay?" she asked. Her voice was gentle, like it had been on the bus that morning, like she was still just their escort and nothing had changed. Burst into tears. She ran forward and hugged around the waist. Other students followed. Soon was surrounded by crying, laughing children who could not believe they were alive. Teacher approached slowly. Her face was wet with tears. "How?" she whispered. "How did you do this?" Looked at her hands. They were clean now. No blood, no wounds. She did not fully understand what had happened to her, but she knew one thing. "I made a promise," she said. "I told them I would not let the monsters through. I kept my promise." Outside, sirens were screaming. Rescue teams were cutting through the lockdown barriers. Helicopters were circling overhead. The whole world was coming to see what had happened at the Rift Memorial Museum. But inside, in the dark basement, a group of children held onto their hero and refused to let go. Closed her eyes and let them hold her. She was so tired, more tired than she had ever been in her life, but she was also happy. She had saved them, all of them. The basement door burst open. Soldiers and hunters poured in, weapons ready. They stopped when they saw the scene. A young woman surrounded by children, standing in the middle of impossible destruction. The team leader, an A-class hunter named, stepped forward. He had been briefed on the situation. He knew what had happened here, but seeing it was different from hearing about it. He asked carefully. Opened her eyes. "Yes. I am here to escort you and the children to safety. The rift has been contained." He paused. "The whole world is waiting to meet you." Shook her head slowly. "The children first. Make sure they get to their families. Make sure they are safe." Nodded with deep respect. "Of course." The evacuation began. One by one, the students were led out of the basement. Each one stopped to look back at. Each one tried to say thank you, but words were not enough. They all knew that. Some things were too big for words. Was the last to leave. She stood in the doorway and looked at with eyes full of something that would stay with her forever. "I will never forget," said. "I will never forget what you did for us." Smiled softly. "Live a good life. That is all the thanks I need." Nodded and walked out into the morning light. Stood alone in the destroyed basement. She looked around at the wreckage, the blood, the bodies of monsters, the evidence of the longest night of her life. Then her legs gave out and she collapsed. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was the sunrise through the broken ceiling. It was beautiful, the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She had survived, she had kept her promise. And the world would never be the same. Woke up in a white room that smelled like medicine and flowers. Sunlight streamed through large windows. Machines beeped softly beside her bed, and someone was holding her hand. She turned her head and saw her brother. Sat in a wheelchair next to her bed, his thin fingers wrapped around hers. His face was wet with tears, but he was smiling. "You are awake," he whispered. "You are finally awake." Tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Quickly grabbed a cup of water and helped her drink. She took small sips and felt her voice coming back. "How long?" she asked. 3 days, you slept for 3 days, squeezed her hand. "I was so scared. They told me what happened, they told me everything. Why did you not run? Why did you fight alone?" Looked at her brother's face. He was 16 years old, but his sickness had made him look younger. She had spent years working to pay for his treatments. Years of exhaustion and pain and never giving up. And now, looking at him, she remembered why. "I could not run," she said simply. "There were children. If I ran, they would have died." Started crying again. He leaned forward and pressed his forehead against her hand. "You almost died. You almost left me alone." "But I did not die," reached up with her free hand and touched his hair gently. "I am here. I am not going anywhere." The door opened and a doctor walked in. She was followed by several officials in suits. They all stopped when they saw that was awake. "Miss," the doctor said with a respectful bow, "I am so glad you are conscious. How do you feel?" Thought about the question. Her body felt strange, strong, like she could run 1,000 miles without getting tired. "Different," she said. "I feel different." "That is expected." The doctor checked her charts. "Your body has completely transformed. All your old injuries are healed. Your muscles, bones, and organs are now operating at a level we have never seen before. You are, medically speaking, perfect." One of the officials stepped forward. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Miss, my name is Han. I am the director of the Korean Hunter Association. On behalf of our nation, I want to thank you for what you did. You saved 32 children. You are a hero." Shook her head. "I just did my job." Director Han smiled sadly. "Your job was to escort a school trip. What you did was far beyond any job description. You held an S-class breach alone for almost 12 hours. You killed a devourer queen with your bare hands. You achieved something that has never been done before in human history." He paused and looked at her with deep respect. "You are now a legend rank hunter, only the 7th in the world, the first to ever awaken through defensive combat. The system has given you the title the Unbreaking Shield and the ability called Absolute Defense. You are, quite literally, unbreakable." Did not know what to say. She had been E-class, the weakest of the weak. Now she was legend rank, the strongest of the strong. It did not feel real. "What happens now?" she asked. "That is up to you, but you should know that the whole world is watching. Your story has spread everywhere. Humans, aliens, everyone knows what you did." He pulled out a tablet and showed her the news. Every channel was talking about her. Her picture was everywhere. The footage that Park had recorded had been released, and billions of people had watched it. Saw herself on the screen, fighting, bleeding, refusing to give up. She saw the moment she awakened, the golden light pouring from her body. She saw herself destroying the queen with a single hand. And she saw the interviews with the children she had saved. Sat in front of cameras with red eyes and a steady voice. "She told us she would not let the monsters through," said. "She kept her promise. Not once did she lie. Not once did she stop fighting. She is the bravest person I have ever met." Park held up his tablet. "I recorded everything. I thought we were going to die and I wanted someone to know what happened. I wanted someone to know that she tried. But she did more than try. She won. She saved all of us." Other students spoke. Parents thanked her through the camera. Teachers called her an angel. Felt tears running down her face. She had not expected this. She had just been trying to survive, trying to keep her promise. Director Han put the tablet away. "There is more. The Galactic Federation has taken notice. You are the first human to kill a devourer queen alone. Many alien species are very interested in you." As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. Director Han nodded and the door opened. An alien walked in. had seen aliens on television before, but never in person. This one was tall and covered in blue scales. He had 4 arms and yellow eyes that glowed softly. He wore golden armor that marked him as someone important. "I am ambassador of the Empire," the alien said. His voice was deep and formal. "I have come to see the human who killed a queen alone." He walked to his bed and looked down at her. His expression was unreadable. "My people are warriors," he said. "We have fought the Devourers for 10,000 years. I have seen armies break against their queens. I have seen legendary heroes fall, but I have never seen anything like what you did." He reached into his armor and pulled out a small medal. It was shaped like a shield and made of some kind of glowing metal. "This is the Shield of Honor. It is given only to warriors who show extraordinary courage. In our entire history, we have given it to only 47 beings." He paused. "You are the 48th and the first human." He placed the medal on her bedside table. "My government has decided to support Earth's application for species promotion. Because of you, humanity will no longer be seen as D-class. You have shown the galaxy what humans can do." Stared at the medal, she did not know what to say. "I did not fight for glory," she finally said. "I fought for the children, that is all." His yellow eyes softened. "That is why you deserve this honor. True warriors do not fight for themselves, they fight for others." He bowed deeply, something that shocked Director Han and the other officials. An ambassador bowing to a human was unheard of. "The galaxy will remember your name," said. "The unbreaking shield, the human who would not fall." He turned and walked out of the room. Sat in silence for a long moment, was staring at her with wide eyes. The officials were whispering to each other. Finally, looked at Director Han. "The children," she said, "are they all okay? Are they with their families?" Director Han nodded. "All 32 students have been reunited with their families. They are safe, thanks to you." Closed her eyes and let out a long breath. That was all she needed to hear. That was all that mattered. The world called her a legend. Aliens gave her medals. Governments wanted to meet her. But in her heart she was still just a woman who kept her promises. And right now, the only thing she wanted was to hold her brother's hand and watch the sun set through the window. Everything else could wait. 6 months passed. The world changed and changed with it. She stood at the window of her new apartment in Seoul, watching the city lights sparkle below. The apartment was big and beautiful, paid for by the Hunter Association, but did not care about the apartment. She cared about what was happening in the room behind her. Was walking, without his wheelchair, without help. Her brother took careful steps across the living room floor, his face full of concentration. The best doctors in the world had treated him. The best medicines, the most advanced technology, all paid for by his new status. And now, after 2 years of being sick, he was finally getting better. "Look at me," said with a huge smile. "I am walking." Turned and watched him with tears in her eyes. This was why she had fought so hard. This was why she had never given up. To see her brother smile, to see him walk, to see him live. "You are doing so well," she said softly. "I am so proud of you." Reached the couch and sat down carefully. "The doctors say I might be able to run in a few months. Can you believe it, me running?" Walked over and sat next to him. She put her arm around his shoulders and held him close. "I believe it. You are the strongest person I know." Says the legend rank Hunter. Laughed. "You are the strongest person everyone knows." Smiled but said nothing. She still was not used to her new life. The fame, the respect, the power. Sometimes she woke up in the middle of the night and had to remind herself that it was all real. A message appeared on her phone. She looked at it and sighed. "Is it another interview?" asked. "No, it is the Galactic Federation Summit. I have to go tomorrow." His eyes widened. "The summit, the one where they decide about Earth's ranking." Nodded. Earth was applying to be promoted from D-class to B-class species. It was a big deal. If approved, humans would finally be seen as equals by most of the galaxy. They would get access to better technology, better trade, better everything. And was being asked to represent humanity at the summit. She did not want to go. She was not a politician or a diplomat. She was just a hunter who got lucky. But everyone kept telling her that her presence would help, that the aliens who would vote needed to see her face, needed to remember what humanity could do. "Will you be okay alone?" she asked. "I am not alone. The nurses will be here and I have my friends coming over." He smiled at her. "Go save the world again. I will be fine." The next day stood in the Galactic Federation chamber. It was the largest room she had ever seen. Thousands of seats rose up like a stadium, filled with representatives from hundreds of alien species. At the center was a floating platform where speakers addressed the assembly. Wore her hunter uniform. It was simple and black, with the golden shield symbol that marked her as the unbreaking shield. She did not wear medals or decorations. She did not need them. The debate had been going on for hours. Some species supported humanity's promotion, others opposed it. A tall alien with gray skin and no eyes stood at the speaking platform. He was from a species called the, known for their advanced technology and their hatred of weakness. "Humans are a young species," the representative said coldly. "They have only been aware of the galaxy for 50 years. They have no great achievements. They have no ancient history. They are children playing at being adults." He pointed at a screen showing Earth statistics. Their average hunter rank is E. Their military power is ranked 847th out of 900 Federation members. They have produced only 7 legend ranks in their entire history. Why should we treat them as equals? Many aliens in the audience nodded. They made good points. By numbers alone, humanity was not impressive. Then the ambassador stood up. It was the same one who had visited in the hospital. "May I respond?" he asked. The chamber moderator nodded. Walked to the speaking platform. His blue scales gleamed under the lights. His 4 arms were crossed over his chest. "My colleague speaks of numbers and statistics," said. "He measures worth by average ranks and military power. By those measurements, humanity is indeed weak." He paused and looked around the chamber. "But I have led armies for 300 years. I have seen species with great power crumble in the face of true danger. I have seen ancient empires fall because they lacked one thing that cannot be measured by numbers." He turned and pointed at heart. The chamber went quiet. 6 months ago, this woman was E-class, the weakest rank a hunter can have. She was guarding a school trip when an S-class breach opened. She had every reason to run, every reason to hide, every reason to accept that she could not win. He walked toward as he spoke. Instead, she stood alone against monsters that have destroyed Federation colonies. She held the line for 12 hours with broken weapons and a dying body. She killed a devourer queen with her bare hands, and she saved 32 children who would have died without her. He stopped in front of and turned back to the chamber. "I have seen what humans can do when they fight for something they love. I have watched the footage of her battle. I have seen her get knocked down 100 times and get up 101. His voice grew louder. "You ask why humanity deserves promotion. Because they do not give up. Because their weakness makes their courage more impressive, not less. Because when this woman was dying, she did not think of herself. She thought of the children behind her." He looked at the representative. "I would not follow you into battle. Your people are strong, but you fight for pride and power." He turned back to, "I would follow her, because she fights for something worth dying for." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Aliens whispered to each other. Some looked at with new eyes. The moderator called for order. "Does the human representative wish to speak?" Everyone looked at. She stood frozen. Public speaking was not her strength. She had no prepared speech, no clever words. But then she remembered the children, their faces when she told them she would protect them, their trust in her promise. She walked to the speaking platform. "I am not good with words," she said simply. Her voice was quiet, but the microphones carried it to every corner of the chamber. "I am not a diplomat or a politician. I am just a hunter." She looked around at the thousands of aliens watching her. "6 months ago I was nobody, E-class, weak. I worked 3 jobs to pay for my sick brother's medicine. I was tired every day. I had no power, no fame, no future." She paused. "But when those children needed me, I did not think about ranks or power. I thought about their families waiting for them at home. I thought about the lives they had not lived yet. I thought about the promise I made to keep them safe." Her voice grew stronger. "That is what humans are. We are not the strongest. We do not have ancient bloodlines or advanced technology, but we love, we protect. We refuse to give up on the people who matter to us." She looked directly at the representative. "You can measure us by numbers if you want, but numbers do not show what a mother will do for her child, what a soldier will do for his friends, what a nobody E-class hunter will do for 32 scared students." She lifted her head high. "I did not fight for humanity that night. I fought for those children. But if you want to know what humans can do, just watch us when we have something to protect. That is when we become legends." She bowed and walked back to her seat. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, applause began, first then from other species, then from hundreds, thousands of aliens rising to their feet. The vote was called. Earth's promotion was approved by the largest margin in Federation history. 3 weeks later, stood at the back of a school auditorium. Middle school was holding its graduation ceremony. The students she had saved were moving on to high school. Walked to the stage to give the graduation speech. She was nervous, but her voice was clear. "1 year ago I learned what a hero looks like," said. "She was not tall or strong or special. She was just a woman who refused to let us die. She taught me that heroes do not need amazing powers. They just need to never stop trying." Looked toward the back of the auditorium. She saw standing there and smiled. "Miss, thank you for everything." The audience applauded, wiped tears from her eyes. After the ceremony, Park found her outside. He was taller now, older. His eyes were full of determination. "Miss," he said, holding out an envelope, "I got accepted to the Hunter Academy. I start next month." Took the envelope and looked at it. Her heart swelled with pride. "Why do you want to be a hunter?" she asked. Straightened his back. "Because of you. I want to protect people like you protected us. I want to be someone's shield when they need one." Smiled and handed the envelope back. "Then remember this. Never fight for glory, never fight for rank. Fight for the people behind you. That is what makes a true hunter." Nodded seriously. "I will, I promise." He bowed and ran off to find his parents, watched him go. The world had called her a legend. Aliens had changed their view of humanity because of her. But standing here, watching a young boy chase his dreams because she had inspired him, felt something more important than any title. She felt hope. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for years. They had measured worth by power and age and technology. They never understood what made humans special. It was not their strength. It was their heart. Their ability to love so fiercely that they would break themselves for the people they cared about. Was the symbol of that now, the unbreaking shield, the woman who would not fall. But she knew the truth. She was not special. Any human could have done what she did if they loved something enough. Any human could become a legend if they refused to give up. That was the real message she wanted the galaxy to understand. Humanity was not weak. They were just waiting for a reason to be strong. And when they found that reason, nothing in the universe could stop them. Looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, aliens were watching, learning, wondering what humans would do next. She smiled. They would find out soon enough.